Hi, ladies of EDU220. I wanted to take some time to talk to you about the lesson plan that was in Module 5 and to really let you know that I don't want you to worry. I have dedicated time on Saturday to talk about this lesson plan and to perfect it. So I don't really want you to stress out about it. I really want you to start formulating some ideas, and we will put those ideas together really nicely on Saturday. But let's talk about it really quickly first so that we have a basis for our conversation on Saturday. So this lesson plan really revolves around a good book that you found. You've been exposed to quite a few, and hopefully you've found some new loves to share with students, and that they are diverse and represent a multitude of backgrounds and cultures, to really expose your students to those windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. Um, I'm going to switch really quick to the lesson plan because it is in and of itself pretty intimidating looking. But again, I don't want you to be intimidated. We're going to take this step by step so that it is the best that you can present it. Notice that the lesson plan really revolves around a skill and not necessarily the book itself. So this one identifies foreshadowing as the skill that the book will help to bring to life for students. That first section, which identifies the course, really just talks about what students will be doing, what text they'll be using, and what skill they'll be developing. The next step is an introduction. How will you introduce this to students? Notice this section is a lot more narrative and complex than it needs to be. You just really need a couple of sentences about how you're going to engage students in the text and in the skill. The next part is really important and what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about on Saturday, which is the lesson objectives. And we are going to do that because these lesson objectives really drive the lesson itself. So your standards, your activities, your assessment are all going to be filtered back to your lesson objectives. So it's important that those are right because they're going to be the vehicle that drive the rest of the lesson. The next thing you'll do is the standards. And while these are Common Core standards, most of you are early childhood, and so those standards really don't relate to you because those are not within your grade level band. So you'll want to focus on these standards, which are the Illinois Early Learning Standards, and are more, as you can see, more geared toward preschool to kindergarten students. So it talks about with teacher assistants being able to ask and answer questions about book read alouds, retell stories, identify main characters. Those are the types of standards that you will use to help illustrate the skill that you're going to teach. I go back to that lesson plan really quickly. And then you are going to really summarize the learning outcome once again and get into the activities. And this really is, this is not a format that I would recommend. I would want you to do more of a step-by-step process. So step one, I'm going to do this. Step two, I'm going to do this. More bullet point style so that if you gave this to someone, they would easily be able to see this is the sequence of your lesson and know everything that you're going to do and have a rational thought process for it. So I'm going to skip all the rest of this because this is just extra stuff. But the next most important thing, in my opinion, is that method of assessment. So how are you going to know that students have mastered or are developing or emerging in this skill? And so that's important, along with your works cited page that or works cited information that identifies any additional resources that you used in helping to develop your lesson. So that really is the core of the lesson plan. Again, start formulating those ideas, get something down, start pulling early learning standards, start thinking about a skill and how you want to walk through the students through that process. And we'll be ready to go then for Saturday. Looking forward to seeing you. Bye.